G'day everyone, welcome to the How to Halo Marine tutorial part 3. My name's Andrew TFT and let's get started. So in this part we're going to be covering the top knee plates. These go above all the other sections and sit up there just to protect your nice patellas. You don't want those being damaged. So by the end of this tutorial you should have these sitting nicely, and of course these will then go and sit on top of part 2's construction and you'll be able to have done all the legs. Now if I was to rate the difficulty of this build, I would give it a 3 out of 10. This is an extremely easy part of the whole costume, so you guys should breeze through it without any difficulty. And if you haven't watched the first tutorial, you will not know about the PDF that goes along with this. It can be purchased for $3.50 from the link below. It gives you all the templates already scaled and all ready to print out, so you can kick off where the video starts, plus a few extra tutorials for some bonus content, as well as an overview of the materials we're going to be using in this section. Now we can jump straight in and start cutting out the main template. We're only going to be focusing on the top section, so leave that little extra piece out. We'll continue that in another tutorial. So be very careful when you're cutting out these sections, as of course they are quite close together on the template, so be sure you're cutting along the main guidelines. Then once you've done that, we can go ahead and start transferring it onto the EVA foam. You can just carefully pack it together, put it in a little piece at the corner. We don't need to take up too much room, and we can start tracing it out using a pen or pencil, and by pressing down lightly, not too much that it digs into the actual foam itself. Then using a very sharp knife we can go ahead and start cutting out the actual designs from the foam core, and we can use just straight 90-degree angles, so cutting straight down into the foam as clean as possible. Use multiple cuts if necessary, don't try to do it in one go. That way you get nice, clean, smooth cuts all the way through the main core. Now we're going to jump in and start beveling some edges. This will give us the structure to allow the edges on the kneecap to actually fold over instead of actually having to bend them. It gives it a far more unique look and more to the actual design in which we're creating them around. So to do that, we're going to go in and cut on a 45-degree angle. As you can see here, this is kind of what we're aiming to do. It can be really on any angle you want. We're just going with the basic 45, as that will give us the nice joining we need. But as you can see here, we've done it on one slope, and now we're going to go ahead and do it on 3. 1, 2, and 3, that's the top facing, but we're going to of course cut inside to make sure it should look like that and not the other way around. Otherwise you might have to restart again, which ideally you don't want to do. Now go ahead and grab your heat gun. Now in this section here, we're not heating the foam up like we've done in the past to allow it to bend or form in a shape that would otherwise be unachievable without the heat. We're actually just heating it up to allow it to kind of condense as a material itself. This down the line allows us to seal it and paint it a lot better rather than leaving it raw in its kind of rubbery state. It just kind of brings in the core fibers and makes it a lot more dense. And after we've done that, you can go get your template again, hopefully you haven't thrown it out, and cut out this little section here. Once you've done that, transfer it onto the foam using the pen or pencil that you were obviously using prior to this minute, and then we can go ahead and cut it out with a sharp knife. Now if you haven't snapped the blade off or replace it, make sure you've got a nice sharp blade for this, as this is a core section that we're going to be seeing. We want this to look as pretty as possible, of course. From there you can grab your hot glue gun and simply just slot it into place, giving it a nice raised level like I've shown you here. That way it just gives it a bit more of a 3D design and just looks a bit more aesthetically pleasing. Then we can put some more hot glue and start gluing these edges together. Now because we beveled them, they should slot in on a nice little angle and have that nice sharp edge, which once we glue all together, you'll definitely see once you stand back and look at it, that does look quite significant. Now make sure that the hot glue does indeed set, and make sure that both sides are looking relatively even. They don't have to be exact, just somewhat even so that it doesn't look lopsided or out of shape. Now we're nearly there. We're just going to need to put on the top section. Now this will take a tiny bit more patience than the previous section, so go ahead and start cutting in these bevels on the side edges, just the side edges. We're not doing the top or bottom, just the side edges. As you'll see, they will slot into the top sections of that armor. So we're going to glue the base in first, let that set, because the foam is going to fight you quite a bit here. Once it's actually set, we can slowly bring all 3 pieces together and glue them into position, and you will need to hold it for 5 minutes or so, that way it doesn't bounce back, rip the glue out of position, or break out of shape pretty much, and it will hold position like that, and you get your final piece all completed. So that's it. Hopefully you guys managed to follow along. Like I said, it was a pretty easy tutorial and it wasn't that long, so you guys should have been able to get the gist of how to make this and now can attempt it yourself. Well, now that that's constructed, we can move on to the rest of the armor, so definitely go click another link and jump onto it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Catch you later.